It's a Ficus Cascade. It is microcarpa, sold to me as Green Island, I do believe, but whatever it is, it's Cascade. Not really looking the healthiest at the moment. I mean, it's in this horrible looking pot, but that's okay. I did a video on it June 4th, and it's actually really healthy looking at that time. Now here it is, I'm not sure exactly what today is, but it's coming up towards the end of November. We're heading into winter, but we are in South Florida, so we don't really get that much of a winter. But anyhow, it was looking a lot healthier June 4th when I wired it up and I did a prune on it. If you go back and watch that old video, I'll put a link in the description. A really cheap, just a plastic pot that I had actually cut a little V out of to make the Cascade with. I think just because that was like where I had the original cutting in, and then I noticed that it was just kind of falling over the side. I was like, oh, this might make a good Cascade, so I kind of cut a little V out of it, and then I started wiring it down. Well, it wasn't, looking as healthy as I thought it should be, and I'm not even sure what month that this happened in or whatever. I went to go pick it up, and the pot just fell apart. It was an older pot, and like I said, all cut up and everything, so it just fell off like that or whatever. I put it in here. I didn't really, I don't know, I just kind of put it in there. I don't remember why I didn't really take the time to put it in there right. It was the right time of year. I could have went on ahead and done like a real repot or whatever, but I put it in here, and I just dropped it in. It didn't really register with me. I mean, I knew that it wasn't going to drop all the way to the bottom. I think I was just thinking that would make a good airflow or whatever, but maybe that's, what's making it to where it doesn't really have all that much health or whatever. It could be any number of reasons. It's definitely not sunlight or anything. I've got it sitting out there with a bunch of other trees that are doing just fine. So that's not the issue. I'm going to take the wire off. I'm going to prune some of these branches have actually died that were wired out. And then there's a lot of spots with like two kind of weak growths coming out of there. I'm going to try to take, the weakest one out, leave the stronger ones. And then I'm going to kind of do like a little bit of a half repot. I did notice in that other video that it was angled a little more like that, and I'm thinking that that could also be affecting the health of way down here too, as it's so far down and pointing just down, and I'm just starting to develop it, so it's not like I had to get all the, I think the rules say that it's got to go down below the pot or whatever to be considered a Cascade, but that doesn't have to happen, but while it's still in development or whatever. This thing's still in development. I don't know, work it in here at a little bit of a different angle and I got some used soil I'm going to put down here. I'm going to mention used soil real quick. I did have that video the other day with that tree that died, the unexplained death. I never use that. I throw all that away and go ahead and take this wire off. Alright, I've been trying to get a decent background. Can't really use the pot here because of the algae that's on the pot. But I'm going to start with this branch here. I am going to try to keep this a semi-cascade, which I guess is leaving it with an apex. Sometimes I get a little confused as to what everything means, but... So that was one of the spots I was talking about. It had two shoots coming off. Both of them looking kind of spindly, not all that healthy, so hopefully me just taking that off will let us send energy into there. Then I'm going to come down. This one is basically the whole tree has basically two branches on it. This one with two coming off of that, and then the other one with two coming off that. The other one's a little bit lower. And then they've got some little twigs coming off the sides, but they're just twigs. So I'm going to take the one coming out of the top. And then this was where some of that dieback was. It kind of died up to there. And that piece actually had a little dieback going in it, which may have almost fallen off there. I'm not intending to defoliate, but I am pulling a couple of the leaves off just so I can see better. This one is just another shoot coming right up off the... If I leave it like that, anywhere along in there would be the top of the branch. And none of those are bar branches, so I'll leave all those and then work my way around. to this one here. You guys see the bottom there? Again, a little bit of dieback on the bottom, so I'll take that out. Got one coming right off the top of that. And then technically, yeah, that would be coming out of the top of it too, so I'm going to take that off. And then those two are right next to each other. That was probably robbing, that one that I took off there was probably taking some of the energy from going down lower here anyway. Alright, so this is the second branch. And this is the lowest part of it here. Again, almost pointing straight down. Now that I've taken the wire off, not quite so much. But I'm going to take that piece off, and that should allow a little more energy going down there. And you know, depending on the exact angle kept, it was coming straight off the top. That branch there is a little awkward, but I don't really want all of that negative space there, so I'm going to leave that there for now. That one's coming right out from underneath. It's got two decent branches coming off the end, and then there's one coming right off the top. You don't want that. And then there's two more that are kind of coming out of the side, but more or less along the bottom. And then the strongest one, and there I just knocked that one off. Strongest one was coming straight out of the bottom, right next to another one, little spindly one coming straight back towards me. So I cut those two out anyway, or I took out the one coming straight towards me I did leave. That one fell. It was, again, both of those were kind of close to coming out of the bottom anyway, so it might be for the best in the long run. That one's coming straight down. And now up here, there's like 3 branches, all coming out of the same spot. 2 are actually that one, which would kind of be coming right off this straight off. I'm going to take that out. Not a whole lot of sub branches on this one. And then this one's another one coming straight up. That's the only, I'll leave that third one that was coming out of that group there because it's kind of coming out at a good spot. You got to way down to where I just was to get to the next good one. And then I got 2 off the side here, 1 on each side, which is good. This one right off the top, which is just, that's going to be the apical growth that's just going to push it straight out of there. Probably never really completely stop that altogether until the tree is much more mature. I don't really know. I'm going to wait till after I repot it to see what I'm going to do with this upper growth. Definitely wouldn't hurt to just have this trunk be a little bit thicker. I think I've tried to leave some upper growth there before. That doing potting work, I've mentioned it in several videos that I try to repot only when I see the lows are going to be 60 or above for the next 10 days. I actually just kind of look at whatever my phone has. I think it goes out 10 days. It might go out 7 days, but I look at the 60 or whatever. And this is just going to be like a little half a repot. We've got several nights that we're going to dip into the 50s, but we're still getting the mid-70s during the day. Plenty of sunshine. And I've been saving a root over rock to do in the kind of like my winter here or whatever to do a video on, and that I haven't done one on yet. And I was just looking through some old pictures just so I could kind of get started, thinking about getting started on that video. And I saw that the last time I repotted it was actually the last week of November, and it's been fine. It was healthy ever since or whatever. So, you know, we can get away with a lot of things that some of you guys up north may not. But anyway, I'm going to look. And first thing I'm going to do is I don't want this to be a permanent repot at all. So I'm going to kind of cut some of the bottom off here just has some real fibrous roots there, and allow that to just plug up the drain hole there in the terracotta. And then I'm going to put the used bonsai substrate on top of that just to kind of lead it up to here. So, again, not doing any kind of bare root stuff or whatever, just using that more matted up material to clog up that drain hole on the bottom rather than getting a screen. I'm probably still going to repot this in the spring. I had originally thought I'd be putting it in a ceramic pot in the spring, but since it kind of took its little downturn in health, maybe it won't be that quick. And the other thing I am going to do before I start putting that substrate in there, I noticed that these microcarpa get some fibrous roots right along the top, especially if the tree came from a cutting. I don't really remember where this thing actually came from. And it definitely has some fibrous stuff up there, but I like to expose a little bit of the nabari just so that whenever I do go to repot it, I can get a little bit of a better look at what I'm looking at. And I did want to also change that angle a little bit more towards what I had it in that video from June 4th. And enough is actually spilled off there to where, see, that's a little more of the angle I was looking at for the long run. And of course, you know, these don't have to reach the bottom of the pot right away. They will grow, and I'm probably going to put it in something a little bit more shallow whenever I do try to, you know, give it a little more of a finished look or whatever. No tree's ever really finished, but hope you know what I mean. Definitely not like that, I don't think. I definitely want it a little more in that line there. I don't want to, I'm not going to leave that one. And I'm not going to leave, there's another, I just took that growth off that would have been coming right underneath there. I left these two up here, probably not going to leave them forever, but just in the hopes that maybe they kind of allow that to grow out a little bit. And I hate to get my cutters dirty. That root coming off there is good. That root that I just took off there had that telltale sign of becoming brittle and soft. And I'm probably going to bring that substrate right up in there. So hopefully it'll sprout some new roots there. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And this stuff was sitting out in the sun, it's hot. All right, I don't know what you're doing on this last weekend of November, but that's what I'm doing down here in Florida. Thanks for watching.